Saturday, May 1st, 2021, Cleveland, Ohio, Day 3 of the NFL Draft. Round 6 is moving fast now, the way it always does when the names get smaller and the stakes get quieter. Somewhere in Tennessee, a kid is sitting at home. No green room, no cameras, no suit. Just a couch, a phone, and 225 names that have already been called without his. Pick 2 and 2. The Panthers take Thomas Fletcher, a long snapper out of Alabama, not him. Pick 2. Tundra takes Tay Gowan, a corner out of UCF, not him. Pick 24. New Orleans takes Jacoby Stevens, a safety out of LSU, not him. Pick 225. Washington takes Cameron Cheeseman, a long snapper out of Michigan, not him. The phone sits there, silent. 225 picks, 225 names, none of them his. Then comes pick 226. The Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock, and the phone finally rings. He is 6'6". He weighs 321 pounds. He was not invited to the NFL Combine. He did his business at a pro day in Knoxville, and what he put on tape was violent enough to make every team that skipped him look foolish. Since the day he walked into Kansas City as a 6th-round pick, he has started 79 consecutive games, not missed one, 2 Super Bowl rings, 2 Pro Bowls, and a 4-year, $94 million contract that made him the highest-paid guard in the NFL when he signed it. But what you probably did not know is that he was the #1 overall prospect in the entire country coming out of high school. Not top 10, number 1. And 32 NFL franchises still passed on him 225 times. What you did not know is that doctors told him to his face that if the blood clots in his lungs returned a second time, he would never play football again. And then it appeared they had returned, and he found a way to that field anyway. What you did not know is that the person he made his promise to about reaching the NFL never got to see him get there. And that is just scratching the surface. In this video, you are going to find out how a kid from West Tennessee lost his mother at 15 and turned grief into the promise that carried him through everything else. You are going to find out how blood clots nearly ended his career twice before he ever took an NFL snap. And you are going to find out how the most overlooked guard of his draft class became the most indispensable piece on a dynasty offensive line. But before we break this down, if you've ever seen Trey Smith dominate on the field, drop a 1 in the comments. Now, let's get started. So how does the #1 recruit in America end up sitting alone on draft day, waiting on a phone that will not ring until pick 226? You have to go back to Humboldt, Tennessee. Population around 8,000. Gibson County, the western part of the state, cotton country. The kind of town where Friday night football is community news, and the churches fill up on Sundays, and the big program scouts almost never bother to visit. Henry Smith was raised about an hour outside Memphis and eventually found his way to the University of Tennessee Martin, where he met a woman named Dorsetta. They built a family, a daughter named Ashley, and a son they named Henry Louis Smith III. Everyone called him Trey. Henry was not a loud man. He did not make a show of anything. His philosophy came out steady and quiet, the same way he lived. Do not rush the story. Do not judge too fast. Let things unfold at their own pace. Trey picked that up early. It became the way he moved through the world. Deliberate, hard to rattle, difficult to move off a foundation once he had found one. Dorsetta was the of that family. The warmth, the generosity, the heartbeat of that house. She was not a football woman, but in the summer of 2014, when Trey was 14 years old, and Henry was loading the car for a recruiting camp at Ole Miss, Dorsetta started packing a bag too. She had never gone to one of these before. She just said she was coming to this one. She watched her son compete against upperclassmen that afternoon, and she was in the stands when Ole Miss handed Trey his first scholarship offer. She was there for that moment. That one belonged to her. She would be gone less than a year later. Dorsetta Smith died on February 10, 2015. Congestive heart failure. She was 51 years old. Her funeral fell on Valentine's Day. Trey was 15. Henry came home and found the words, and Trey heard them, and from that point forward, 2 things drove him that never let up. He made 2 promises: that he would get his college degree, and that he would play in the NFL. Those were her dreams for him. He was going to carry them there himself. By the time he finished at University School of Jackson, he was a 3-time All-State offensive lineman and the #1 overall prospect in the class of 2017, according to ESPN. Alabama called, Ohio State called, the whole country called, but Trey chose Tennessee. He said it was partly because Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Clemson were the 3 schools his mother had been alive to see offer him. She had been in those stands. Those programs held something the others could not. He was going home to Knoxville. His freshman year was everything the rankings promised. He started all 12 games, first at right guard, then earning a move to left tackle mid-season, the first true Tennessee freshman to hold that spot in more than 30 years. Pro Football Focus gave him the highest grade of any offensive freshman in the entire SEC. The Volunteers were not a good team that year. Trey Smith already was. Then the offseason arrived, and everything stopped. In early 2018, during conditioning workouts, he started struggling to get through sessions. Could not catch his breath, lost 13 pounds in a single day. He passed out during a workout. The team doctor called frantic and sent a car to bring him in. They rushed him to the hospital and ran the scans. Blood clots in both sides of his lungs. Pulmonary emboly. He said later that when they used those words, he had no idea what they meant. Then they explained it, and his first thought was that his career was over. He spent the next 6 months on blood thinners, sidelined from anything physical. Tennessee's team physician, Dr. Chris Klenk, was direct with Trey and his father Henry. There was no scenario where the risk was zero. Not even if Trey walked away from football entirely. Ultimately, it was Trey's call. Trey decided he was going back. He was cleared in mid-August and started the first 7 games of his sophomore season. Then came October. The same breathlessness, the same symptoms. They rushed him back in. The scans showed what appeared to be a recurrence. And the words he had already been told landed with their full weight. 2 occurrences meant he would never play again. He said it directly later. At that moment, his career was completely over in his mind. Tennessee flew him to the Cleveland Clinic. A full team of specialists went through every scan, every result, and what they found was not new blood clots. It was scar tissue from the first ones. Residual damage that had looked like a recurrence but was not. He was going to play. He came back for his junior year, moved inside to left guard, started 12 of 13 games, and did not allow a sack him all sec. First team also won the Fritz Pollard Trophy, given to a college player who has shown extraordinary courage in the face of adversity. He came back his senior year and did it again. Another first-team All-SEC, another season anchoring that line as if the hospital visits had never happened. Then came the 2021 draft, and the entire league decided to look away. His medical history sat on top of every scouting report like a warning label. A legitimate first-round talent with a pulmonary record that made 32 front offices nervous. Round 1 passed. Round 2. Round 3. He watched guards he had dominated get called before him. Rounds 4 and 5. 225 names. Then Brett Veach and the Kansas City Chiefs, sitting on their final pick of the entire draft, decided the tape was worth more than the fear. Pick 226. The phone rang. Trey Smith was a Kansas City Chief. He was named the starting right guard immediately and started all 17 regular season games as a rookie. NFL All-Rookie Team back-to-back Super Bowl championships. He became what every honest scout already knew he was, an immovable presence protecting the best quarterback in football. The 4-year $94 million extension that followed was not a favor. It was a correction, the highest paid guard in the league. The player 31 other franchises called too risky. From a couch in Tennessee waiting on a call that would not come, to Arrowhead Stadium with 2 rings and a $94 million contract. From a hospital in Knoxville, convinced it was all over, to the Cleveland Clinic, finding out he still had everything in front of him. From a February night at 15 years old, making 2 promises to a mother who would not be there to see them kept, to the top of his profession with both of those promises fulfilled. He got his degree. He made it to the NFL. Trey Smith, number 65, a Kansas City Chief, and he plays every single snap like she is still watching.